Hello, Laziali all over the world. Welcome to another episode of Lazio Lounge. Plenty of things to talk about. Lazio-Bologna last Saturday, Porto Lazio this Thursday, very important match. And then obviously there's the Udinese match. I'm unfortunately joined again by Alistair Mackenzie that is slightly recovering from the Scotland defeat in that strange sport called rugby, where Italy usually overperforms. We have an incredible performance last Sunday, but we are here to talk about Lazio. We are here to talk about football. Before starting talking about Lazio Bologna, and other things we have to talk about, if you want to support this podcast, Lazio, patreon.com/Lazio Lounge membership starts at just $2 a month. It's a huge help for us, keep us going. So if you want to support us, you know where to go. And we have our shop link in the description. So after that, Alistair, you were saying before we started that it was an easy match. I still remember that at Bologna, we lost 2-0 without having a shot on target. It's true, Murici was starting and not Immobile, but can we say that the changes in this team have been impressive since that terrible defeat in the first leg?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you can measure Lazio's progress entirely on the two Bologna games, but yeah, the progress is undeniable at this point. Really, I saw before the game, so I expect it's the same, if not better now. That Lazio in the kind of league table of the last 10 games are third in Serie A behind Juve and Inter. So, that's a good measure of Lazio's improvement in terms of getting results, not only performances, because I think there's been a feeling in the past as well sometimes that maybe you don't get results when you deserve to, or whatever. So I think it was very encouraging to make it look so easy, because I guess that's exactly what you want in these matches. Home game against a mid-table team, you want to really be putting that away with as little effort as possible. Obviously, there's one caveat here, which is that Bologna are in a pretty dreadful run at the moment. So they're also not the Bologna that they were when we last faced them.
And I agree on that, but we have to say that in the first half, Lazio played well, but didn't take the chances to wrap it up. We finished the first half 1-0 after Immobile's penalty. And, when you're playing that well and you don't capitalize, then there's a huge risk. And this is exactly what happened at the beginning of the second half. Second half started and Arnautovic had a huge chance and Strakosha saved it. A little bit like what happened later on Sunday, Saturday, Napoli-Inter. Napoli dominated the first half, second half starts, Inter scores, and the game changed. So going back to Lazio, the importance of having a goalkeeper instead of a central midfielder in goal, it's a huge gap, right? It's a huge difference. We were talking about the Coppa Italia match, and you were saying that Milan didn't create that many chances, but the first chance they had, they score. Bologna didn't create that many chances. The first chance they had, they didn't score because Strakosha made a good save. I think that's something we have to mention, right? Because having a goalkeeper, it's quite good, right?
Yes, you're absolutely right, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I remember thinking of you when he made that save, because it was exactly, I think, the point you made about the Milan game at the time, where they created next to nothing, and then when Leao had that opportunity, he scored. And yes, perhaps it's not Reina's fault that he didn't save that shot, but then if he does make the save, you might be talking about a different game, because it's all about momentum swings, and especially the timing of that save from Strakosha coming so early in the second half meant an awful lot. So it was really good for them to be able to park what happened in Milan and kind of set that aside and really get back to where they were before, because yes, that run of clean sheets in all competitions was gone, but this is a fourth clean sheet in a row in Serie A now. and that in itself is impressive. And yeah, it's amazing we've had to say this so much this season, really. But having a goalkeeper who makes saves occasionally, it does help. It really
It,
does.
it definitely does. And this time we have to say 4 clean sheet and 4 clean sheet with Strakosha starting. Um, I don't think he made unbelievable saves in those 4 matches,
No.
but at the same time, Alistair, I don't think it's a coincidence that they all arrived with Strakosha playing. Someone may say, well, we didn't play unbelievable teams, but we still play Atalanta, we still play Fiorentina, and let's not forget what happened, in the first 6 months of the season with Lazio conceding goal against everybody. So I think there is a big improvement there. And the positive sign, Alistair, is that not only Lazio have find a way to shut up and don't allow too many goals, but on the other side, we keep scoring. We keep scoring. We are now the second best attack in Serie A, just behind Inter. So it doesn't look like, okay, we find a way to stop allowing stupid goals, but now we're struggling in front because we are too defensive minded. It looks like Lazio have found the balance to keep scoring and don't allow too many counterattacks and too many goals. I think that's really huge for us.
And the funny thing is that balance seems to have been struck by essentially going back to the players that we started the season with. Strakosha, Lucas in
Yeah.
midfield, and Lazzari at right back. And Sarri moved on from them fairly quickly at the start of the season to put in Cataldi, to go with Husai or Marisic, and obviously Reina as well. But I think those three in particular coming back into the team, it's not a coincidence. And like you said about Strakosha, he's not making incredible saves every game. I would say the same about Lucas. He's not putting in absolutely brilliant performances every week. But there is a correlation between the times when that kind of team is on the pitch and the results we're getting. So do you think it's just a simple case of kind of we talked about the comparisons after the Fiorentina game to Inzaghi's style of football, and do you think it's almost like a bit of a throwback to that in some ways, where it's kind of like Sarri's realized that after the January transfer market, he's thought, well, this really is what I've got. There's no hope of me getting a proper playmaker, so I am better off having Lucas anchoring the defense to allow these other two to push on more, rather than trying to create a system with Cataldi, maybe with Basic, that is going to be more fluid. He's now happier to be more direct, or to, I guess, play more to the characteristics of these players.
I think, and there's a couple of considerations to make. The first one is big difference compared to Simone Inzaghi. Last year, we knew already on Monday 10 out of 11 starting players for Lazio, right? The question mark was always one of the central defender, because Luis Felipe was often injured. All the others, we knew them already. Instead, with Sarri, we're seeing that he rotates, he gives chances, and I think this is the biggest difference. He started with Leva, see that things didn't work, went to Cataldi, things start working at the beginning. Then, as we mentioned on this podcast in the last month or so, Cataldi didn't perform very well, and he came back to Leva. I think he's giving options, he's giving chances. Same thing we can say about Lazzari, right? We were conceding far too many goals with him, so we put his eye back. Things didn't work out, and now Lazzari is back. So I like this type of attitude to give players a chance, because I think like this, the group react, the group is more willing to follow the manager, and most of all, I think like this, at the end of the season, our players won't be destroyed like it was in the past with Inzaghi. The other thing is, I think Leva is a very experienced player. He's not very dynamic, but he is a player who knows football, and I think he learned what Sarri wants from him. And I think he understood what he has to do, And that's why now he's back on track. He's playing better than at the beginning of the season. As you were saying, he doesn't do anything unbelievable, but I think he's always in the right place in the right moment, and that's the biggest difference, and that's why he's playing. And again, going back to the Coppa Italia match, Cataldi started, right, and we conceded 4 goals. Leiva back again, clean sheet. Cannot be a coincidence, I think. You can see improvement from Leiva. You can see improvement from Lazzari. And at the same time, as you were mentioning, Luis Alberto is back. And I think the ultimate goal of Sarri is to play Milinkovic Savic and Luis Alberto together. Because like that, Lazio has huge talent. And I think a little bit Sarri, a little bit Luis Alberto, they find a way to coexist and to be still a good team, right? Offensive-minded team because we have a lot of ball possession, and at the same time we sometimes attack the pitch trying to look for Ciro Immobile. So I think it's very impressive.
Yeah, I mean, comment here from Levan saying, I think Leiva plays because Cataldi's in awful form. And I think awful might be a bit harsh, but yeah, I mean, he's not been as good as he was when he first came into the team. But I think that kind of goes back to what you were saying as well, Vittorio, where a bonus of this is that Sarri's willing to change it if it's not working, in a way that perhaps it wasn't before. And the same has gone for Luis Alberto previously this season. You know, he's not afraid to drop anyone in this team really by the looks of it, apart from Ciro and Milinkovic Savic and Patrick. So
you mentioned Patrick and the ambulance is going to get you. Going to get you. Makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think that he just has to. Yeah, I mean, he's had longer with the team. Obviously, that helps as well. So he's we always were aware of the fact this was going to take time, and that he's not had loads of time on the coaching ground. Whereas I think since the winter break and the fact that actually in the last, say, 3 or 4 weeks, we've not, by memory, we've not had 2 or 3 games a week quite as often. We're about to quite a lot. But yeah, so maybe he has just had a bit more time to think about that, a bit more time to coach it and to work out kind of who goes where and what fits the best. But I'm really pleased with them back in the team and making a difference because, you know, obviously set up another goal yesterday and a player that we both really like, and would have been a worry to have sold him in January, which it wasn't that long ago. We were talking about that as a realistic possibility. So that's
Alistair, we have to mention something that both Lucas Leiva and Luis Alberto won't play next Sunday because they receive a yellow card. So talking about Cataldi, he's going to have a chance on Sunday against Udinese. So we're going to see if Levan is right and it's Cataldi out of form, or is there something else? And he will have a chance to play. And Udinese is not an unbelievable team, but it's a good team. So it's going to be an interesting test, without forgetting that Thursday there is a very important match for us. So a lot of things to see how things plan out, right? Because so far, when Lazio was playing Thursday, then the Sunday afterwards, the performance would dip. So it's going to be interesting to see how things plan out on Sunday.
I'm terrified about Thursday. I mean, how are you feeling about it? Because away to Porto, I think, is generally one of the toughest draws.
Yeah,
probably could have got at this stage. Looking at it now, I mean, I don't know. I was just having a look this morning at what they've been up to over the weekend, and I don't know if you saw this, but they had a kind of 40-man brawl in their game against Sporting Lisbon, and ended up, I think, 4 players were sent off. Obviously, Pepe was one of them.
big
all
surprise.
sorts of stuff kicking off. But when I was having a look at that, I also found out that, which I hadn't realized before, they're 50 games unbeaten in the league. obviously not in the Champions League, but I mean, they're really coming in with a lot of confidence, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, considering how they've been performing. And obviously, they're very well established under Sergio Conceição and been working with under him for a while. So further on in their development and more experience, really, in Europe than Lazio are.
Yeah, I'm scared. I mean, we said it already. This is the worst combination Lazio could get, right? Porto's experience is a good team, has beaten a lot of Italian team recently, so they know how to do it. And I would add that Lazzari won't be playing, and he's will be gone for at least 1 month. We don't have a Cherby, so we don't arrive at the best possible. We are gonna have a lot of players missing. On the other side, we are playing great football, so that could be encouraging. You were mentioning Pepe. I think Ciro Immobile will have a tough night because we know how Pepe play, but at the same time, Pepe is not fast as he was before, so this could be a big challenge for him as well. It's going to be interesting if the ref will allow Pepe to play dirty as he usually do, or he's going to be careful. Playing away the first leg, it's an advantage, so this is going to be important. I think the target for us is to score a goal away, and then
stay in it.
Yeah, basically that. But I think, as we said, it was really important how the team will arrive to that match. And I think, yes, we're missing a couple of players, but overall, we are in quite good shape. So, let's see how it works out. Obviously, Porto is the favorite there, but it's football.
Well, it depends. When you say we're in good shape, it depends how you look at this. Really, if to say we're in good shape means that we're thinking about the Milan game as being just a blip, and it was a bit of a strange game in the sense of how clinical they were and how poor Lazio were. But at the same time, it's the most comparable thing we've got recently is an away trip to a difficult team in the middle of the week. And the last time we did that was against Milan, and it was a complete disaster. So I'm not saying that means that it's going to end in the same result. And obviously, they're different teams who have played different ways. But Porto earlier this season did very well against Milan as well.
Yeah,
I think it was a win and a draw, was it? They got? I can't remember exactly.
I think so. Yeah. Someone wrote me, Alistair, I think we will understand what Sarri wants if he plays Strakosha or Reina, because you were mentioning the Milan game. Well, Reina started there. Was quite a surprise for a lot of people. And again, if Reina starts against Porto, then the message would be clear, right? We don't care about this competition. And again, that's a big gap. That's a big difference, playing Strakosha or Reina. I think, unfortunately, there's a big gap between the two of them. By the way, I don't know if you know this, but last Saturday, Reina was like the manager on the bench. He was stepping up, going to talk to players that were warming up and ready to come in, cheer the players on the pitch, etc. At a certain point, my daughter was a little bit concerned because he took off his shirt and she said to me, "Hey, is Reina coming in?" And I said, no, he's just talking to the player. I don't remember who was it, to give him the last, advice before coming in. So is it that, do you think that's a change of job for Reina? He's becoming the Vice Sarri now?
Or the new Peruzzi. We need a kind of old goalkeeper to do the team manager job, maybe. Although Peruzzi, like we've already said, apparently is still officially the Lazio team manager for English.
On the English version of the website, he's still there.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I know what you mean. I think that we will know immediately from when the team's announced how seriously Sarri's taking the tournament, I guess. Because I mean, it's weird because you need to play well to get through the group stage, especially now in the new format of the Europa League where the competition is even higher. But you can, I think, still with a squad like Lazio's, you can still get through the groups while rotating a little bit. But yeah, you can't beat Porto over two legs by bringing in your second string. And for me, I think that if you're going to bring in a second string, you're better off doing it against Udinese than against Porto, because it's not
Yeah.
just you know it's not just trying to stay in the game, but just not well. You don't want to come back to Rome for the second leg and have essentially nothing to play for, like the Bayern game a couple of years ago, where we got absolutely smashed in that first leg, and the second leg was just almost pointless to watch because it was already over. That's not the position we want to be in.
No.
Although sadly Patrick is probably involved again. He keeps playing on these big European nights.
Yep. Alistair, before, can we go back a little bit to the weekend? Because I thought it was an excellent, nearly perfect weekend for Lazio, right? Because, well, I know Inter and Napoli are out of reach, but they drew. Juventus Atalanta, they got both 1 point. Same thing with Roma, who had a late goal. So, of the top seven, only Lazio and Milan won. And, we
Don't
are
say
okay.
it.
We are 4 points behind the Juventus. 4 points. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, we would say the Champions League is out of reach. Well, not anymore. Do you think there's a chance? Do you think Lazio should try to get there? Fourth position is our target now, or do you still, live for the next match and see how things go, and then on May you focus on your goal?
Well, I'm not a footballer doing a post-match press conference, so I'm not going to say one game at a time. We focus on the next one. But I still think the top four is a really ambitious target, just because yes, Juve are 4 points ahead, but if you consider the form they're in, I mean, they're unbeaten in 11 now. And they've also not, it's got to that stage of the season where you look at fixture lists and they've not got that many big matches left. I think they've still got to play Inter, but I'm not sure how many other massive games they've got. And Atalanta, don't forget, have a game in hand still. So if they did win their game in hand, they would be ahead of Juve and so then 4 points ahead of us. So I think that still, top six would be a good result. Said that from the start, and I'm not going to change that now. I think that top six for Lazio and a decent run in the Europa League would be a really good season, considering it's the first year under Sarri and the squad is not good enough. So I just don't think we should get ahead of ourselves. I mean, Bologna, we've just talked about the improvement from 1 week, one side of the season to the next with the results. Well, we need to do that against Udinese now, because the 4-4 draw was one of the most insane games of football I've ever seen, I think, and we really need to not have a repeat of that. And not beaten them in 90 minutes this season. Played them in the Coppa Italia, took until I can't remember how long, but it went into extra time.
Second half of the extra time, I think Ciro Immobile scored immediately.
Yeah. So not necessarily an easy one. And it's exactly the kind of game where you can imagine Lazio getting a bit complacent. I think the team are flying out on Wednesday. They're spending Thursday night in Portugal. And then I think they're flying directly to Trieste and staying over there for the Udinese game. So it's quite almost 5 days of traveling for these two matches. So yeah, it's I don't know. It'd be really, really impressive if they could come away from this week and have us smiling.
Yeah, it's funny because usually I would be very concerned for the Sunday match against Udinese, because you can see it coming. You can see that maybe the team plays well on Thursday and then on Sunday they relax and Udinese start fast and we are suddenly immediately down 2-0 and have to recover, and it's never easy. And then the fatigue comes out after playing on Thursday, etc., etc. But there's even Thursday that it's a quite complicated match, as we mentioned before. So, yeah, this week can be very important for the rest of the season. as you were mentioning, going forward on the league would be great, but this is a very tough draw. So we have to be honest. It wouldn't be a surprise if Lazio gets out against Porto, and to be honest, it wouldn't be negative or very bad if Lazio would be eliminated by Porto, because as we mentioned, it's a more experienced team than us. So it's a complicated week. We slightly mentioned the injury of Lazzari. I thought he was one of the best player in the last couple of weeks or so, and Lazzari and Sari said the same. We finished the match against Bologna 10 men because we made already 5 substitutions. The last one was at 5-10 minutes. Felipe Anderson played right back. Now Sari said this short-term solution. We cannot start a match with Felipe Anderson playing right back. He mentioned Radu. He mentioned moving Marusic back on the right side and Radu on the left. He forgot to mention his eye. Now, I don't know why he forgot about that, but Alistair, what are the options for Lazio now with Lazzari probably out for a month and a half?
Well, Marisic and Husai are both naturally right-footed, so really they should both be more comfortable on the right than they are on the left. And then on the left, we're fine because we've got our big January signing from the best transfer window ever, Kamenovich. So, I mean, he must be a good player given that he was one of the best signings we've ever made in the best window ever. So, still not letting this go. But yeah, I mean, I think that if we're ever going to see Kamenovich, surely it's at a point like this. I don't think against Porto, I should say, but I think I think the natural, the most obvious thing to do is go back to what Sarri's been doing for most of the season and have Husai on the right and Marisic on the left, or vice versa. They're both, that is a good thing about them both. They are versatile enough that they can play on either side. And I think that's a more sensible option than putting Radu in at left back, given that he's not played there.
Well, he played with I think, or Reya. I think he played left back. Did he start a match with us this season in that position? I think so, right?
Maybe, yeah. But my point being, he's not been there regularly. He's not been doing much of it.
Well, I think against Porto will be the starting defense, right? Maric on the left, his eye on the right, and Patrick and Luis Felipe starting, right? Against Udinese, maybe Kamenovich could start, right? Maybe he could have a chance. What do you think about it? Or do you think he can keep the same 4?
I don't know, because Kamenovich is such a mystery to me, because clearly they don't think he's good enough. He wasn't registered at the start of the season, and then on deadline day kind of being brought in and paraded as if he's a new signing, and then we've not seen him since. I don't know what's going on. I'm really intrigued. I want to see him, because I don't know if this is a kind of thing where, like Dennis Favreau, he's actually not useless, but he's just not being picked, or if he actually is as bad as his lack of involvement suggests. And nobody knows anything about him. This is the problem as well, because he was playing in the Serbian league, and not even for one of the top teams as far as I remember. I don't think there's even like a great excitement about him in Serbia or anything like that. I seem to remember one of our Serbian listeners telling us that anyway. So yeah, I do want to see him, just to have this kind of mystery around him go away, and make sure that he does actually exist and he can play football.
Well, I saw him a little bit this summer in the friendly match that obviously, are not telling how good the player is, but it didn't look that bad. The mystery, Alistair, here is when was it? Last week he hasn't been called because there was some bureaucracy issue, which is concerning because he's been in Rome since September, and we struggle to solve all this issue, right? I don't know what the hell are we doing. Uh,
Well, it took me 11 months to get my residency sorted in Rome, so I can empathize with that. I think that's quite quick, actually. 6 months, it's not bad.
we should send you back home, back to Scotland. Um, but yeah, he has been called in the last couple of games. And, it was really unfortunate that Saturday we finished already the 5 substitution when Lazzari got injured, because I said, we are 3-0 up. Maybe give a chance to Kamenovic to play a couple of minutes, right? Instead, we didn't have that option. But again,
Still
it
no
would
sign
be
of
good.
Cabral either.
Yeah, well, I don't think he's fit, as he had 45 days of injury in December. I don't think he's ready. The other thing, Alistair, is unfortunately we don't have any communication from the club, so we don't know if Sari trusts the player, what happened to the player, why didn't we sign him in September, why we sign him now, etc., etc. So all this silence doesn't help because it just increased the rumors, right? And we don't know what is real and what is fake.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can copy and paste that comment for years and years back, can't you? So, um, that is the issue. I mean, I did think though, if he's fit enough to be on the bench, if he's on the bench, then he's clearly they're considering him to be in the matchday squad. Then when you're 3-0 up against Bologna at home, what harm does it do him, even if he's not at full fitness, to throw him on for 5 minutes? At the end, let him have a run out, see his new pitch, see his new fans, and kind of get started. Um, unless they're saving him up for Porto because he's a Sporting player, and they clearly aren't fans of Sporting, having had a look at what happened the other night. So maybe they're just going to unleash him on Sporting. On Porto.
Before I forget, the Curva Nord was chanting for Kamenovic at the end of the match. So
Good.
It wasn't a positive chant, I would say, but still they were mentioning him. So, yeah, the first 20 minutes of the match, the Curva Nord was singing against Lotito and Tare. So even though Tare says that it was the best transfer market, Lazio fans are not convinced about that. So,
well, and the other thing, I mean, so stadium capacity is still at 50% for now. Hopefully going up soon, but it sounds like it doesn't really matter if it goes up for us at the moment, because from what you said, I mean, what kind of attendance was it? Sunny day, Saturday afternoon, beautiful time to go and watch football, but apparently not the best crowd.
yeah, 20,000, something like that we were. So, I mean, better than other times, but, we could have been 30,000 and do much better. Still, Curva Nord and Distinti were pretty much packed, and so that was positive. But yeah, I mean, the team, especially at home, needs support, and it would be good to see more fans at the stadium. So,
Just before we finish, though, word for Mattia Zaccagni, because 2 goals. We've been praising him quite a lot recently. Here we go, great celebration. But I mean, apparently that's the most goals he's ever scored in a Serie A season already. He's had 6. I think 2 of them were on Saturday, and 2 of them were right at the start of the season with Verona. But yeah, I mean, it's nice to see. We've been talking about his improvement and that he's getting more and more comfortable in this team. So it's nice to see that being transferred onto the score sheet.
Definitely. That's another impressive performance. I thought in the first half as well he was great. He provided us the penalty, so this is a player that can become useful, and I think he has still a lot of space for improvement. So I don't see Felipe Anderson starting very soon if this continues. But you have to create competition on every spot. So I'm happy that Zaccagni is doing it. Mancini was at the stadium Saturday, so I can think that Zaccagni could be called for the next national team matches, and he deserves it. Um, I think he's improving a lot. I think this could be a huge signing. So yeah, finally, after 3, maybe 4 years of terrible summer transfers, this would be the first one where I think we did a good job. And Zaccagni is the example, right?
It's also nice to feel like there's actually, Lazio are worth an Italian national coach going to watch now, because it feels like it's been a while that there's been much beyond Acerbi and Immobile, but now there's those two. But Luis Felipe is Italian now. Lazzari playing in a back four now is going to be of more interest, hopefully, to him. Cataldi got back in the national team squad recently for the first time in however many years, and Zaccagni as well. So there's a really good Italian contingent to this squad now, which is quite nice to see.
Yes, sorry to put it that way, but Mancini was at the stadium to talk to me, not to watch the Lazio players. But I had other plans, so it's gonna be next time. Sorry,
Yeah. The surprise Campanile call up for the World Cup.
No, there's important match coming up, and he needed my advice. So.
All right. Okay. More of a Pepe Reina role then.
Absolutely. Anyway, Alistair, I think we can wrap it up here. It was fun as usual, a little bit like watching Scotland on Saturday, but I don't know if we're gonna be back on Thursday. Lazio's playing very late, so probably the day afterwards we're gonna talk about the Europa League match, and then there's Udinese Lazio, very important match for the league, for our hopes for Champions League or Europa League. So again, guys, you can follow us wherever you listen to our podcast, on our YouTube channel, on our Twitch channel. We're also on Twitch. Alistair still have to understand what Twitch is, but he's gonna learn. So follow us wherever you want to follow your podcast. And again, rate and subscribe and support us on Patreon, patreon.com/Lazio Lounge. Goodbye, everybody.